All right, Derek, back to Peach Jam. You've been following Mean Streets. You're basically the Mean Streets reporter here recently, and the Amani beat, Amani Hansberry beat here. Are those the teams, guys you've been focused on the most? And if so, what was your takeaways?
Yeah, those are really the main ones on the EYBL circuit, and for a team that is probably not going to have a very big class in 2023, and there's certainly a lot of potential in 24 that's circled around Mean Streets, the St. Rita trio, and Noyes and James Brown and Merez, who obviously you already have him on board, and then Carlos Harris at Curie, who's played really well. So for Amani, it's just been kind of the same old story. He went on a tear from the point of when I saw him in late May in Louisville, and then from that point, I know he had a great June back on the East Coast, and then saw him in Kansas City early July, and then at Peach Jam. And this is just a guy that continues to be supremely productive. He was named first team All Peach Jam, which is saying a lot considering the type of talent that is down there at that type of an event. And he has outproduced guys that are ranked higher than him. I mean, and we're not even just talking about as a guy that's sitting there in that 125 to 130 range. I was talking about, oh, he played someone that was top 75 and he put up more points, more rebounds. He had games where he was on the floor with 5-star guys. Like there was a game against Mo Can where he's against John Bull, who's one of the top centers in 2024, and Omaha Baloo, who just committed to Iowa State, who's a 5-star power forward, and even in his own front court, Kwame Evans Jr. is a top 10 player in the country in 2023, and Amani had the best game of those four together when you had that collection of talent on the floor. So he's just continued to excel, continued to produce, continued to be consistent. I think he had 6 double doubles in 7 games down at Peach Jam, which is just it shows his motor, it shows his consistency, the way he hits the glass, and he hit jumpers. That was something that just continued to show up throughout July. Is hitting mid-range jumpers, even knocking down a couple of threes, which is something he wasn't doing at regularity in the spring. So continue to be more and more impressed with him. We'll see. He's gotten some recent offers. He got Auburn earlier in July. Oregon and West Virginia offered, I think, early on in Peach Jam, if not right before. And he's going to be at Miami this upcoming weekend for an official visit, and we'll see where it goes from there. But Illinois was 3 deep at like all of his games at Peach Jam and has made a very clear point that he is the top priority for them in 2023. So that's been impressive, and he's earned that.
Derek, you've written about this in the recent weeks, and we can see it. We've always been wondering, like, what's Illinois' plan in 2023? Because they haven't been as aggressive in that class. How narrow of a focus is it in the class of 2023? We've talked about nationally, maybe not a great class. Certainly in state, not as strong of a class. A lot of high major prospects, but maybe towards the lower end of high majors. Is it Amani Hansberry or bust in 2023?
I don't want to go all in and say absolutely yes, because we've seen this staff show us in the past that they have more and more options as dominoes fall. Like we could have said in 2023, a year ago, that it's Jeremy Fears and Kylan Boswell or bust. Well, then they pull Sky Clark late in 2022, and it's a little bit, it changes things. So yes, on the surface, in terms of getting a priority guy, I think Amani, as far as the guys they tracked on the AAU circuit throughout the spring and summer, is the only surefire priority. We're going all in to get him type of guy. So I think that it is Amani or bust in that type of a sense. There are maybe some other players out that they would pivot to, but I'd even be a little skeptical knowing Brad and knowing the opportunities in the portal. And when you come off getting Matthew Meyer and Terrence Shannon Jr., and the year before that, you got Alfonso Plummer. Why not? They're not going to reach. They're not going to take a guy that's going to be someone that's like, I'm not sure. Maybe that's a little bit of a reach. Maybe he's not going to give us what they want. They certainly won't do that. Now we'll talk about some international players that have come into the fold, and some guys that Jeff Alexander and Brad Underwood saw at the NBA Academy games down in Atlanta early in July. And that's becoming more of a focal point international recruiting. There are some names that they certainly like in 23, but as far as you're looking at, in the U.S. and those familiar names in the AAU circuit, I mean, even Jazz Gardner, who we thought would be a priority guy and someone that Chester Frazier got in early on, and he's a top 100 big man, maybe in top 75. I don't think they watched him at all the last live period in July. I think that says a lot about how much they like Hansberry, but also they're being pretty picky and selective about who they're going after, and Hansberry is the only surefire priority right now.
Yeah, and I think we got to remember by adding Sky Clark, by adding Zachary Perrin, they have a couple pieces that maybe they would have tried to get in the class of 2023, especially the French forward, right? Like he kind of fills a role, a developmental role in the front court that maybe they would have had to reach for a guy in 2023 that they don't have to, but. Brad still says he believes in being a developmental program, Derek, but part of that is now transfers, right? And he's talked about, how many guys do I want to spend on high school when I could just go in the portal, get some guys who are going to give you immediate gratification and, obviously more proven at that level, more proven commodity. So how much of recruiting do you think for Illinois moving forward is going to be transfers? Is it 50%? Is it 30%? What do you think?
I think it will be a balance. I think you could see it be 50-50 or I know I was listening to all those media day pressers at Indianapolis that you and Joey were at, and Mel Tucker was asked kind of the balance of portal versus high school recruiting. He's like, you look at the high school recruiting as the draft and the portal as free agency. So I still think there is going to be a significant focus on trying to get some long-term players via high school and even international, just prep type of players, those 4-year guys or whatever they might be. I mean, there's a lot of value in getting certain guys that are in that top 100, top 50 range. I mean, they want to continue the cycle of get a guy like Ayo Dosunmu, get a guy like Kofi Coburn, have him in your program for 3 years, watch the development and the progress. Or you look at the freshmen that are coming in this year, and Sky and Ty Rogers and Jaden Epps, and even Sincere Harris is on that back end of the top 100. They really like what those guys will be early, as particularly some of those guys in that top 50 range, and then how they will develop. But with the portal and how much opportunity there is, you can get very good, very proven players from college basketball who have even played in high major conferences and supplement that with what you already have to fill needs and to be able, especially in this case of this year, to have leadership, to have proven commodities. So I think that it's really going to just be something they continue to evaluate what they need, and then you're taking away the old kind of ways of, well, we missed on our type, our priority A guys. Now we got a B list or maybe even a C list of guys that we're not as high on, but we like. And I don't think you pluck from that as much now that the portal is going to be involved as much as it is. So maybe it's 50-50. Maybe that's even too heavy on the portal. It just kind of depends on each class. Because I think you look at 24, while 23 will be pretty light on the high school front, 24, I could see them getting maybe the St. Rita trio if they can pull off James Brown against the offers he has. And that would be a bigger class. And then maybe it's only one transfer that year. So it might depend on the year, but certainly the portal is having a big impact and they know that there's a lot of potential there.